Hey, and welcome to this lesson. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're going to continue our conversation about paid client acquisition, meaning getting people, strangers, to see something from you and request a conversation. So if you remember where we are to this point, we've talked about the minimum viable process, which is an on-demand class. Then we outlined what to say, and we outlined that framework in the on-demand class. And then we talked about how to compound the effectiveness of that framework with stacks, which really are helpful. So the next thing we have to do is acknowledge what I call the rule of Dammits. And the rule of Dammits states that no matter what phase of a sales process you're in, most people who are in that part of the sales process are not going to do what you want them to do. And so that translates to you and I like this. Most people who opt in for an on-demand class, they will watch the whole thing. They'll never even make it to the pitch. Most people who do make it to the pitch will not fill out an application to talk to you. Most of the people who fill out the application to talk to you, they won't actually schedule, right? And most people who schedule, they do tend to show up if you do it right, but most of them aren't really ready to buy. So what we need to do is address all of those things, but I want to do this with you in a way that's sticking with our minimum viable process here. So what I want to do now is show you what to do after they have registered for your on-demand class. Now, the technical hardcore way to do this would be to segment everybody out from, did they watch at least 3 minutes? Did they see the pitch? And if they saw the pitch, did they register? We can do all of that tech stuff later. What I want to do for you right now is I want to help you get clients very quickly and hopefully get as many of them as you can stand. So what we're going to do is not do all of that techie overwhelming stuff. And we're just going to build a sequence for everyone who registered for your on-demand class, but didn't end up applying to work with you. We're going to do that. And we're also going to talk about what to do after they have applied and after they have scheduled, how to sort of pre-frame your conversation with them. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to share some training with you that I created for my Sandor certification students. So this training, when you're watching it, you're going to hear me refer to, hey, listen, a lot of your clients are going to have this issue. That's because during this training, and what Sandor is all about is helping consultants do a better job of consulting. So this is like a big picture overview of how our funnel works. And by our, I mean yours and mine, anybody in a service type of business where our job is to get someone interested in our stuff and then get them to request a call with us. So don't let that throw you off. It's really it's a 30,000 foot view of it. So there's that. And I'm going to show you a little bit more than you technically need here. So don't feel like you have to do everything I'm showing you. But I figured, hey, why not show you like behind the scenes of all the super hardcore stuff we do? So before you go into this training and before you watch it, number one, I want you to know that it was originally shot for the Sandor certified people. So when you hear me mention, hey, your clients could have this issue or whatever, don't let that freak you out. The other thing I want you to really pay attention to is essentially the go apply sequences. And I'm going to give you a lot of examples in this. So notice how much email is sent after the on-demand class, right? And I want you to notice how much email is sent in the go schedule sequences. So if you take anything from this, I hope it's two things. Number one, it takes a lot of email follow-up. That can sound unfortunate, but thankfully, number two, email follow-up is not that hard to write. You're gonna look over my shoulder and see like all the various ways that I say, hey, go apply, and so that's not really that hard. Just follow along with the frameworks and you should be okay. But this is really important to do. So a natural inclination is to be like, okay, what do I send them if they register for the class and they don't watch the whole thing, or if they see the pitch but they don't apply and all that kind of stuff? We can address that hardcore techie stuff later. For now, we're just going to assume that everybody who opts in you're going to send them the go apply email sequence, because why not? Right? It's going to make you more money than if you didn't. Okay. And we can get fancy later. But what we want right now is results. And results come from appointments. And that leads to sales. And you kind of get the rest. So without any further ado, let us, as they say in professional circles, get jiggy with it. Let's go to the computer. Check it out. So what I want to do for you now is I would like to walk you through. I've included all these documents for you, by the way. I just want to walk you through like all the stuff we've ever sent, so you can use these as reference, because none of them are particularly difficult. Hang on, I'll dig it up for you so you don't have to watch me root around here. I'm going to walk you through some of the stuff that has that's worked in the past, like in a minimal context, like before we really got on top of our game to the, to the extent that we are anyway. And then we'll end, and all of this is in this one document, by the way, then we'll end with present day. So first time we really started doing this, like a go apply sequence, was when we were selling intent-based branding. And this is, if they didn't buy online, which most people wouldn't buy intent-based branding online, because it was 3 payments of $9.97. So, step 1, they would fill out their name and email address of the order form. And then step 2, they would be taken to the order form, where they would immediately leave upon seeing the price. So what we would do is we would send this to them. And so this is essentially like, hey, thanks for watching it. If you want me to help you out, I'm happy to. Oh, dang it. Why is this thing suddenly doing this? Let's see. Don't change the layout. Look at it. Changing the layout. So weird. All right, hang on a minute. Pause this so you don't have to watch me learn how to use a PDF reader. Good Lord. Okay, come on now. Behave. All right, so anyway, the second page is so weird. There we go. So if you're interested in taking a class, go here and schedule a call with Tyler. So it's really simple, right? And it's like, hey, and you can see this is just going to a type form. This link might still, you never know. Yep, it does. How about that? All right, let's see. Now, let me bring this dang PDF back up here. This is a new computer, so I'm still learning my way around it. So if you want to, you can click the link in here and you'll actually see just how completely, like, janky the page is, but it worked really, really well. So it's like, okay, then I'm trying to filter them out in here as well. Hey, there's no charge, but this is only available for people who are actually selling stuff. So that's it. And so now if you set up your automation to where if they actually go and fill it out, then you stop sending them stuff, of course. But everything I'm telling you is assuming they haven't done right. So whenever I'm doing 2 emails in a day, I like to send 1 in the morning and then wait 4 hours. There's no logic to that at all. That's just habit. So I don't know if 4 hours is a magic number or what. I'm just kind of telling you what I do, and it's always worked out pretty good. So the next one is really the same thing, right? It's, hey, do you want some help? If you're interested in taking a class, we can talk to Tyler, right? And so it's like the exact same copy, just slightly different angle. And then we do it again. We now use the next day. And this is, depending on what email software you or your clients are using, the overwhelming majority of email software these days, Infusionsoft, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, like yada, 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 they have this cool option where you can tell it to send in at a specific time in your contact's time zone. How they figure that crap out is beyond me, by the way. Like, it's magic. But so if you can, then do, and if you can't, just do it in your time zone or your client's time zone. So the next one is, again, the copy isn't really what's important. It's the frequency, right? So subject, how to build a huge brand, and then look, I've been having good luck doing all this stuff. Here's how it works. Then you take it and you do this. That's 50-foot overview. If you want to take a class, the big thing I'm trying to get you to take away, is that the intent is clearly demonstrated behind the call, behind the offer. Like, we're offering this call if you're interested in taking a class, right? And you saw me earlier in the earlier one of the earlier emails, hey, this is really only best for people who are actually selling stuff, so that's the gist of all of that. And notice I'm literally recycling the same copy. I do this all the time. There's no charge, but this is only available for people who are actually selling stuff. Okay, and so now we have a fourth one. And again, this is a 2-day, now we're on day number 2, but email number 4. So 1 in the morning, 1 4 hours later. And here's how I doubled my net in 46 days, and yada, yada, yada. And then look, here it is, exact same content, all right? And then exact same sort of filtration, like mild filtration. Hey, if you're interested in taking a class, yada, yada, yada. He'll tell you. And then look, no charge, only available for people who are actually selling stuff. So that was a 2-day go apply sequence. And incidentally, we sold, good Lord, like well over 7 figures of this class using just this, right? So there's a huge chance that your clients are not doing stuff like this. So when we look at, let me minimize this guy for us here. When we look at this process right here, your folks are probably not doing this, this, or this, or this, or this. It's probably opt-in content that makes an offer for a consult. The end. And then replay. And so all this stuff is really where the money is. Guarantee it, like 99.999 out of 100 clients that you get that are in professional services, that's where they're screwing it up. It's not like, oh, you got to remind them more before the call. Oh, you got to increase your opt-in rate or whatever. They ain't enough follow-up, right? And so that was like example number 1, okay? So let's go back over here into this. All right, so let's see. Okay, so now here's one that we had done this is like a year before we started doing intent-based branding, by the way. I had a program, and it was sold same way, that any professional services using a content, driving people to a consult thing was sold, and it was $12K, I think. It was a year-long program for $12K. And as I put this together for you, I immediately had 2 revelations. Number 1, man, I was really slack. And number 2, this whole Sandor thing, it's really pretty powerful, because you would think, as the guy that sort of invented all of this stuff, I would be doing it properly. But as you're about to see, I totally screwed the whole thing up. All right, so they watch a webinar. This is back, we were using a webinar. And right after they watched it, we would send them a brochure. And the brochure basically told them to go apply, right? And so email number 1, right after they watch it, if they didn't apply, we'd send it, Bob, PDF for you. Hey, Bob, first of all, thanks for coming to see me on the class. Lots of people ask me for more info on the flagship program, so I put up a PDF about it here. This may or may not work, I don't know. Probably does. Look at there. That probably is a working link. Each group is limited to 10 people, yada, yada, yada. So if working together sounds like something you might want to do, have a quick look at this and let me know. All right, and then we'd wait a day and send this. Letter for old Jimmy, right? I wrote you a sales letter. That's what this is. It's a sales letter. I wonder if it's the same. I'm trying to get that URL to show up here. Come on. Let's see. Yep. It is. See, there you go. Okay, now let me bring up this dang PDF again. Okay, so I wrote you a letter about working together. Flagship groups are limited to 25 people. Now look, this is like how dumb I am. Okay, and email number 1, but they were limited to 25, not 10. And email number 1, I think I wrote 10 people for whatever reason. Yeah, each group is limited to 10. And then the next day I say it's limited to 25. It was always limited to 25. It was just like, I think I had cut and pasted stuff that I'd used for my private client group or something and didn't catch it. And no one ever noticed this except me right now, Anyway, yada, yada, yada. Go watch this. Now go read this. Now here's what's embarrassing, right? Exactly what I told you that most clients do, we did. Okay, so check it out. This was the follow-up, all right? So on opt-in, they see the content, they get 2 emails. The end. Nothing else. That's what we did. And then, and like, I wrote flagship off. I was like, flagship, I don't know. It's not that great. Too hard to sell. Well, no wonder it was hard to sell. I only sent 2 freaking emails to follow up with people. Like, come on, Frankie, where's your head at? Okay, so that was like that, right? And so now we start getting a little bit better at all of this sort of stuff. Okay, so now let's get into how we did Sandor. And we did Sandor 99% right. Okay, 99%. There's one thing we didn't do, which was after they scheduled and before the call, we didn't send them cool stuff to pre-sell them. That was dumb. But really, we did it like perfectly other than that. All right, so I'm telling you this to be like, hey, you can, even if you don't do everything perfectly, like, just find the biggest gap your client's got and fix that, and you'll probably have a very, very happy client. So after someone watched a presentation, we set 2 sequences concurrently. Number 1 is the brochure sequence. All right, so right after we watch the presentation, hey, here's your download. Thanks for watching it. A lot of folks asked if there was a document. Here it is. If you have any questions, let us know. Here's a document. All right, and then the next day, we'd send it again. Here's the PDF you asked for. Here's the, and this, all I'm saying is like, here's the brochure. So like, let's say you're writing this for an attorney. I've had lots of people ask if I could put together a document to discuss how our tax resolution services work in greater detail. Here it is, right? Simple, like absolutely zero copy fanciness in here, okay? Now, at the same time, this sequence was being sent out. This sequence was also being sent out, all right? So you'll see in the document I gave you, I'm kind of reiterating what I'm telling you in the video, like, hey, this was also sent at the same time. Okay, so call me, all right? Hey, Jimmy, if you're interested in getting certified, we'd be happy to jump on the horn and answer any questions you might have. Now, notice, okay, it's a bit of a filter. It's not like, hey, if you just want to talk about nothing, do this. It's if you're interested in getting certified. If your client's big gap is that, in working with them, you find out they have a zillion appointments and the overwhelming majority of them are non-qualified. Remember earlier in our little checklist, I was talking about the reasons why they might lose a sale, and one of them is non-qualified, meaning they don't have any money. Well, if you're getting that, then this could be the fix, right? Say, okay, all right, hey, wait a minute, we need to put some filtration in place, Anyway, this leads them to the application, and it's the end. So it's literally, call me if you're interested, choose a time here. Now, this is actually an application, all right? This is not a schedule. They have to go through the application, and then they have to answer everything right in the application in order to get to the scheduler, as I have shown you in earlier lessons. Okay, so that's the end of that. Now here's the next day, same old thing, right? Preferably in the morning in their time. Perry Belcher sent me something one time, and I trust Perry on email stuff. He's pretty freaking smart. I trust Perry on really anything. He's a pretty solid fellow. So he had sent some study that said like the highest open rates are between 9 and or 7 and noon or something like that. So I usually do mine like around 8:30 in the morning, in their time zone, like trying to be the first one, because everyone wakes up and checks stats and checks their email. Most people. So anyway, hey, getting certified in Sandor. Do you have any questions? You need help? Happy to help you. Choose a time that works best for you, and we'll do a quick one-on-one. You can do that here. All right. So zero fanciness. Okay. Now. Third email, all right, so we're in day 2, and day number 1, I just send them 1, because for all I know, they watch the webinar like 10 o'clock at night, So day number 2, I'm sending them 2 emails. I'm doing the same pattern. I send 1 in the morning, then I wait 4 hours. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. I just pulled it out of the air. Seems to work, Hey, you need any help? Same thing, right? You got any questions? Here we go. All right, and then wait a day. Same pattern. Frank answers. Hey, Frank, if you're interested in getting standard or certified, we'd be happy to jump on the horn, answer any questions you might have if you're interested, right? Not if you just want to talk about nothing. We're not in that business. And then I sort of get rid of their fears here, and then that's it. So what I'm really trying to get you to understand about this is two things. Thing number one, frequency, right? Like twice a day for several days, while simultaneously sending a brochure. And the brochure also tells them to go and book an appointment. So that's thing number one. Thing number two, zero fanciness in the copy. It's not like some long story. It's nothing. It's like, hey, you want some help? We got you. All right, so here's the same day. It's 5 emails now. What's the plan? Hey, what's your plan for getting clients? Certification help. Happy to jump on a call. We'll do the best we can. Thanks for watching my class. Hope it was helpful. Okay, so how many people do you think go apply? Most of them don't. The minority does, you know? So we're now, we've just gone through this segment. Dang it. I'm literally, you might even be able to tell by the audio quality. I'm on a new Mac Pro, which I really like, by the way. They've done a great job. So I'm still getting used to it, like the mouse thingy is slightly different. So anyway, we're now at this phase, right? So all that stuff I just showed you is just this, this, and this. So what do you want to bet that if you got 100 professional services people that sold things on the internet, if they had this level of follow-up, and we ain't even here yet, right? We're just here, or we're just here, okay? So here's the next phase, and I kind of arranged all of this sequentially for you. Okay, so now, notice this, whoops, down at the bottom of this page, and let me zoom in so you can see here. Well, so I can see. Who are we kidding? Okay, so you'll notice down at the bottom of the page, I kind of tell you as well when you reference this document, so it's really easy for you. If they still haven't applied by then, we'd wait a day, then send a 9-word email from Tyler. All right, and 9-word email, it doesn't actually have to be 9 words. That's taken from Dean Jackson's classic promotion where if someone has expressed interest in buying something, whether it's a set of tires or a consulting arrangement, you send them an email that says, hey, you still interested in getting them tires? And that's the whole email. So here's how it looked from Tyler, all right? Come on, PDF thing. Here we go. Okay, subject, Frank. Hey, Frank, you interested in getting certified in Sandor by Frank? See you later, Tyler. That's it, right? And so 9-word email is always short, to the point, asking a question that expects a response. That's it. You know, there isn't any other fluff here. We're literally just trying to engage these folks because professional services, if you go and you think about it, everything leads to a conversation, right? Like you're not going to engage an attorney by email. You know, you're not going to engage a CPA, not a fancy one anyway, by email. You're not going to, you know, hire someone like us, meaning Sandor folks, by email. You talk to people. So the idea here is they would reply and say no or maybe or I have questions. And he would be like, cool, let me get you set up with an appointment, right? So that worked great. And then I was like, wait a minute. What about all those people that are watching this stuff that never applied? I wonder if I can take it to another level, okay? And so I use this service. As a matter of fact, I just want to bring this up for you because this is just obnoxious, okay? So I went and I used this service called videoask.com. It's made by the same folks who make Typeform. And this thing is ridiculously good. So I just go to videoask.com and check it out. And it's like, so inexpensive, I don't know how much it costs. You know, it may be $100 or something if you use it a lot. And it can do so much cool stuff. It's got branch chain logic in there. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. And I built the whole thing I'm about to show you on my iPhone, incidentally. So this is like the level of non-techiness with this thing is incredible. Okay, so this is videoask.com. It is ridiculous. So just kind of wanted to point that out. And then I'll actually show you the Video Ask page that I'm sending people to. Okay, so back to this. Whoops, prematurely hit magnify. Premature magnification. Okay, so let's see. All right, so if they still hadn't applied, they got the 9-word email, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to test that Video Ask thing, right? Because maybe it's cool. So I positioned this as a survey, you know, and essentially what I wanted to find out is basically two things. Do they want Sandor certification, and can they afford it? And so if I had that data, then I could put them back in the next phase, which is, hey, go schedule, right? So we're still like essentially in the go apply. As a matter of fact, look, this is where we are. This is our phase right now. We're now here in go apply to. Okay, so this is a second sequence that's getting them to apply. So I waited dang it, I did it again. I waited a couple days, or a day, really. We do this all like kind of bam, 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 I waited a day after the 9-word email. And if they're still not applying, then they're getting this thing. Okay, so let me copy this URL so I can show you once I go over the copy. Okay, so next day, send in the morning their time as per usual. Subject line is, Frank, dang it, Frank, hey Frank, would you help me with this? It takes like 3 seconds. You just click a few buttons. It'll help me keep you from sending the wrong stuff. Literally like 3 seconds. Okay, now when you read these instructions up here, you can append the contact's information at the end of the video ask link. So video ask, you don't have to do anything heavy duty. It literally creates this link for you. All right, so I'm going to bring this back up for you, and then I'm going to paste it in here so you can see. All right, so look. This is videoask.com / like all this crap. This is everything before the question mark is automatically created by Video Ask. It's like, your own unique page that I'm about to show you. And then contact name equals whatever, email equals whatever. You're just using your email service provider's merge fields at the end of it. And they've got like a super simple little guide on how to do it, in their help manual. Really, really basic. All right, so you ready? Let's go. Boom. Okay, so this is me. All right, so I shot this. I built this whole thing from my telephone. All right, so everything was built on the phone. Didn't have to do anything fancy on the web. No programming, nothing. So do you want to get certified? All right, they say yes. Okay, dang it. Why is it doing this? It normally wouldn't. It shouldn't be making me opt in. Oh, maybe. Well, I must have screwed that up somehow. Whatever. Okay. You probably should have used to read the help documentation. Okay. So now it's got. Now I'm like auto playing, and so I'm telling them, hey, here's the price. Can you afford it? Yep. Okay.
Right, great. So I don't know.
And then look at this. Boom. There's the calendar. All right, and so class is sold out, so we're not offering it anymore, which is why you don't see anything in the calendar. Now, there's you can build this thing all kinds of cool ways. So if they say no, we can be like, hey, do you want to buy something else? If they say no, they don't see the calendar, right? And so of the people who say yes to this thing, most of them don't freaking schedule. But that's a story for another day, all right? Well, not another day, another 5 minutes from now. Okay, so back to the sequence, right? We are still in the go apply to sequence, all right? So here's the email, all right? Don't know why that didn't work right. I probably screwed it up somehow. Maybe there was a line break in here or something, I don't know. Or maybe they won't accept the name tester. Who knows? But okay, so anyway, then the next day I would send them this one. Hey, please help. Would you help me with this? It takes 3 seconds. You just click a few buttons. It'll help me from sending you the wrong stuff. It's the same thing I just sent, just different subject line. Okay. Then I wait a day and I send the same thing pretty much. Let's see. Hang on. Yep. Will you take a few seconds to answer a few yes or no questions here? So I change the sentence. You just click a few buttons. Yada, yada, yada. Then I wait a day. So this is the 4th email, 1 a day, right? So, hey, that's the subject line. Hey, that subject line works, by the way. Would you take a few seconds to answer a few yes or no questions here? Same freaking email, all right? And so now I'm sending them there, okay? So this thing really, really gets response. I'm thrilled with it. The challenge with it And it's going to depend on your market. So if your client is like an attorney or a CPA or something, that's probably not going to happen to them. If your client sells to the internet marketing crowd, you're going to get a ton of funnel hackers that'll enter their name 7 billion times to try to see every little variation. Like what happens if I say no? What happens if I say yes? What happens if I do this? So there is that. But who cares? You know what I mean? So let's say we've gone into this. All right. So now we're here. All right. So let me get us over here, and now we've done this. All right. They've applied. So we went. Now remember, your clients are going to go this to replay to maybe a follow-up email. All right. So if you just bolt this crap in here, even if you don't use video ask, if you just do another go apply sequence from a different angle or whatever, you're probably going to just skyrocket their businesses, which is pretty simple. I mean, you're going to want to make it look hard, but obviously it's pretty simple. So now they've applied. So here's the deal. The folks who apply, most of them don't freaking schedule. Remember earlier I just had that video ask thing up for you, and I was like, it's a story for another day. How many of them scheduled? Well, it's not a story for another day. It's just a story for right now. I just used the wrong colloquial phrase there. So now, look at this. If anyone answered yes to those questions, they'd be taken to a page where they could schedule an appointment. You saw it. The overwhelming majority of people don't self-schedule. Like, it's for everything I've ever seen. Most people do not self-schedule. So if your client is not doing this level of follow-up I'm about to show you, they're just leaving money on the table, which is great because it's like a single big thing you can do to massively grow their business without them having to do a bunch of extraneous crap, So now we've got a go schedule sequence, right? They said they wanted it. They said they could afford it. They haven't self-scheduled because they're normal people and they procrastinate. All right, so we wait an hour after they filled out an application or the survey, right? So either one, doesn't matter. This is now sent from one of the salespeople. Right, so this is sent from Ian. Now it could be sent from your client. It doesn't matter, right? I'm just telling you what we do. Let's talk about your certification. Hey, this is Ian. Thanks so much for your interest. Obviously, we know they're interested because they just filled this stuff out. They told us they wanted it. They told us they can afford it. All right, next page. Come on. Don't get weird. There we go. Would you please go here and choose a time that works for you? All right, now this is going straight to a funnel, or not a funnel, straight to a calendar. So I can answer any questions you might have. I'm happy to help. Choose whatever time is best here. If you don't see anything that works for you, just email me back. Or you can call and text me. And then like, all of this is real. You can call or text them. You can email them back. It's not like a catch-all email address or any of that kind of stuff. Because this is the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? These are people who watched your stuff, who said they want it, said they can afford it. Obviously, they're worth the human interaction for sure. So we wait a day. If they haven't reached out, then we send this, trying to reach Frank. Hey, Frank, this is Ian from Frank's office the other day. He said you were interested. I want to make sure you're taken care of. Please go here. Do that so I can answer any questions. I'm happy to help. Choose whatever time. The thing I want to, again, get to you here is frequency. Where none of this is great copy. This isn't like, oh my gosh, Gary Albert rose from the grave and wrote his masterpiece. No, it's just like, hey, you just go here and schedule, right? So, of course, they still haven't scheduled. So now we got 24 hours later, Frank, certified Sandor consultant. Hey, Frank, this is Ian from Frank's office, trying to reach you to help you with Sandor. Go here and choose a time. Happy to help. Choose whatever time is best. Same copy, right? I'm just kind of changing the subject line a little bit, okay? So, final one, all right? So we got 4 go schedule emails. So if we look, okay, well, first let's just go with the copy. Frank? Hey, Frank, you still interested in getting certified by Sandor? Notice this is a classic 9-word email, just trying to get them to write Ian back, okay? Now look where we are here. Now we've gone through this, right? Now we're here, okay? So what if they schedule? Now,
we, of course, because the last thing I need to be doing is following my own advice, obviously, we forgot this, but we do it with our private client group. So I have included the swipe pile for you. All right. So if your client has either A, a testimonial, or B, some good content, or C, anything just telling them what to expect on the call, it should be sent before the call because it pre-sells them and it gets rid of their fears. So this is what would happen if someone applied for our private client group. And by the way, we didn't have any of this sophistication back then that I'm showing you. Like all of this stuff that we did for Sandor, we didn't do anything like this at all. I mean, there was like nothing, So they would apply, and then they would schedule. And then here's the thing, Frank, before you talk to my wife, this is from me, okay? And they're expecting to talk to Natalia. Hey, Frank, I see you're scheduled to talk to Natalia about working together. Glad to hear it. Before you guys talk, I think you might want to listen to this. This is a link to a podcast by Brooke Castillo, who is not my client now, but she is my good friend. She makes so much money, I don't even think she has to do anything anymore. She's great. I'm happy for her. Anyway, describing what she learned working with me during her first few years as a client. So obviously we don't send this anymore because it's untrue, only because she's not a client at the moment. Again, we're friends. It's not anything weird, but there comes a time the lady she'll probably hit 40 million this year. I don't think she needs me. I think she's got it, which is good. Anyway, pretty good content in there too. She teaches my stuff better than I do sometimes. Anyway, thought you might like it. Plus it gives you a good idea of what it's like to work together. All right. And then that's the end of it, Frank. I just had to have a second page there, for my name on it because the PDF thingy's weird. So it doesn't have to be like a glowing testimonial, even though that's essentially what this podcast episode is, because it's just like, man, working with Frank is great. Here's what I learned. Here's what he teaches. So anyone who listens to this is going to be like, damn, I want to work with this guy, right? It could just as easily be, hey, thanks so much for scheduling the call. I just want to tell you what the call experience is going to be like and kind of what we do here. That would be fine, right? Like anything that A, hypes up the call, B, addresses their fears and talks them off the ledge. So like one of the fears could be, hey, a lot of people who schedule these things, they worry they're going to get on the call with some high pressure person and it's going to be horrible. And I just want you to know that's not how we operate. The name of the person you're going to talk to is this, like anything like that is better than nothing. In Sandor, we didn't do it, by the way. And this isn't the thing that's going to be like the big needle mover for your client, but it can help. Like this is, if they're on like week 7 of an accelerator program or whatever, I would have them put this in there. But it's not going to do nearly as much good as all the other stuff I've shown you. All right. So here's where the rubber meets the road, right? So now here's what we've done, by the way. We've now gotten here. This right here is where the rubber meets the road, okay? So first of all, if you've got a client who's doing this, and then they've got like a replay or a couple of emails or whatever, then their world is going to explode just with like doing this properly, like just these little 4 parts here. This is, oh my God, new business. This will help to a degree, but nothing compared to this. The second enormous, giant freaking needle mover is outbound phone calls to non-schedulers. And so I've written this like to you here. All right. So let me get down here. Here we go. So most people, even after all that email, all right, they ain't going to schedule the call. Even though they say they want it, even though they say they can afford it, they just procrastinate. And that's just like, that doesn't mean they don't want it. It means they're people and they got stuff going on and they're like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And then they get a text or their DM goes off or someone's at the door or the dog pees on the rug or whatever. And so to put it into perspective, and again, I'm like reading the document that you've got in front of you probably. This just happened. Although I'm happy to say I have now deposited the check. So I've had a check for like 2 weeks sitting on my desk. I just never went to deposit. It's not because I don't give a shit about $33,000. It's because I just kept putting it off. you know? And so if someone from the bank said, hey, do you want us to come and get that check for you? I'd be like, dude, thank you so much for calling. So a huge needle mover, like a gigantic one, if you really want to take your client, or even if you're doing this on your own, is the people who go through an application process and indicate that they want it and that they can buy the thing, if your client's using that sort of application process, is to have a human call and just set the freaking appointment. And so it doesn't even have to be the salesperson. It could literally be an appointment setter, like going, hey, you know, this is Rick James from Charlie Murphy's office, and notice you filled this thing out. We'd love to help you out. I just want to set an appointment for you so we can answer any questions you have about Sandor training. What time is good this week? The end. You know, and so here's another thing I'll tell you before we wrap up this module. It's not enough just to call once. Nobody answers their phone. You got to call them like 10 times. You know, now you don't call them 10 times if they say no, I'm not interested. You say, okay, see you later. But you call them 10 times if they don't answer the phone, because they don't answer the freaking phone. You know, but this, like, actually doing the outbound phone calls only to people who wanted it. You know, like, we don't really mess with people that don't raise their hand and say, yes, I want this thing and I would like to buy it. That we sold tons that way. We would have sold probably 70% less if we didn't do the outbound. And so your clients are absolutely no different. So, like, the big magic in this, again, like, if I had to do it, I would literally, these, like this one, this one, this one, and this one, you know, and then of course do saturation, right? Like I showed you last week, and this is how to completely revolutionize any professional services business. And it doesn't matter if we're driving them to opt into content, or we're just driving them, you know, trying to get them straight to an application, like whatever. This is the way that you can really change the game for them. Okay, this is a long video, but I just kind of want to really take you behind the curtain and be like, you want to be like the hero of the day for these clients, this is what you do for them, and they will freaking love you. And the reason I'm going deep on professional services right now is because, like I said at the beginning of this week, we're in a situation where the world is going digital, and so many people are now going from, you know, small one-to-many or whatever to virtual, that financial planners are going to be coming to people like us for, okay, how do I take it virtual? People who are doing virtual and they're doing pretty good are going to be like, how do I do even better? Because they're going to see an uptick. So this is the time, right? So this is why we spent so much time going deep on this. Okay, if you need any help, obviously we're here for you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next module.